5 years. That's how old Super Mario Odyssey is going to be on October 27th of this year. Yet, you go onto YouTube and see channels like Small Ant still making videos on the game, or go on speedrun.com to see that world records are still being set for the game and optimizations still being made. And there's a reason for this. A reason this game has stayed relevant and popular almost 5 years after its initial release in 2017. And it's all because of the genius of the game. The genius of Super Mario Odyssey. I remember the hype for this game as it was getting closer and closer to release. It was one of the coolest and most insane build-ups to a game's release I still have ever seen. And even after it released, the hype wasn't over for this game, and for its first few months of being released was just everywhere on the internet. Everyone was making videos on it, from Let's Plays to challenges, and probably the most popular of the bunch, speedrunning the game. I vividly remember how a new world record was being set for this game almost every day as more and more people understood the game's mechanics, and how it was, at a time, the most speedrunned game of all time. But enough about what people did with the game, let's talk about the game itself. Super Mario Odyssey is the 6th mainline 3D Mario game and takes heavy inspiration from the older sandbox collectathon 3D Mario games, Super Mario 64 and Super Mario Sunshine. You see, as the years went on and we got more and more 3D Mario games, they all started to get more linear. And with the release of Super Mario Sunshine, a lot of the freedom you had in 64 was gone in terms of when you could collect shines. This was because in Sunshine you had to do them in a certain order, while in 64 you could get a lot of the stars out of order, and allowed for the player to skip a certain star if they found it too difficult. With Galaxy, the freedom was lost in terms of the level design. In Galaxy, the levels were a lot more linear and focused a good bit on going from point A to point B, with the game rarely allowing you to freely explore an area. Then once we got to 3D World, it had just basically become going from point A to point B in a compact 3D area filled with some enemies and obstacles. And while all those games I just mentioned are amazing and ones I will forever love, there is always that want to return to the freedom we once had in Super Mario 64. Super Mario Odyssey absolutely delivers on this want for freedom and creates the most open 3D Mario sandbox levels we have ever seen. With the absolutely insane size of the dune-filled Sand Kingdom, the bustling cityscape of New Donk City, the lush and expansive Wooded Kingdom, there's such a diversity of different regions to explore, with a lot of them being massive open-world sandboxes that the player can explore for hours and really provides that sense of being on a globe-trotting adventure. An Odyssey, if you will. But that's not all either. For those who missed the more linear levels that 3D World and Galaxy offered with their clever use of different gimmicks throughout the levels, Super Mario Odyssey delivers on this as well with the different sub-areas throughout the game. A lot of the sub-areas in the game focus on tight platforming challenges or clever use of different captures throughout the game to get through this linear area. I'm not even joking when I say there is quite literally something for everyone in this game. One of the absolute best parts about this game, despite the obvious ones I've already mentioned, is just how perfect of a celebration of Mario this is. Not even just the 3D games, but the franchise as a whole. Whether it be the music, with some of the tracks being remixed versions of classic Mario tracks, or little nods and references to previous games that just add so much for those who grew up with the franchise. Like, for example, in the Mushroom Kingdom, there's this lone tree with a tail on it. If you throw Cappy on it, you get a moon. Well, I guess a star. And to that, a lot of people will just say, okay, free moon, and move on. But to those who played Super Mario 3D Land, it's like, oh wow, this is the exact same tree from the opening cutscene of that game. They really had no reason to add that, but they did. That's a really cool detail. And you just constantly see stuff like this throughout your playthrough, and just shows how much the team who worked on this care and love about the Mario series, and just how much they wanted to share that love with other people. But despite the amount of fan service in this game and how much of a celebration of the series it is, there's just so much new shit in this game as well. Each kingdom, apart from the Mushroom Kingdom, is a brand new area we had never seen in the series up to this point at all, with its own unique batch of locals as well. Take a place like the Luncheon Kingdom, for example. If you had to guess, who would be the kind of people to inhabit a land filled with giant food and an enormous volcano in the center? That's right, fork people. Who else would it be? Super Mario Odyssey is filled with silly stuff like this that just makes the journey that much more fun and a little bit comedic at times. But while the adventure can be silly at times, it can also be pretty intense as well. I mean, near the end of the game, Bowser calls upon the help of a giant dragon who tries to kill Mario by shooting his ship out of the sky. Then after you crash land in fucking Dark Souls, you have to fight the thing by ripping out chains in its head and defeat it by ground pounding it in the skull 3 times. The game is always surprising you when you least expect it, and brings out new and original ideas you would have never expected from the Mario series. But hey, even while I'm fighting a dragon about 1,000 times my size, at least I can look like I'm about to cook for Gordon Ramsay while doing it. Super Mario Odyssey has around 40 unique outfits/costumes for Mario to brandish all throughout his journey, with each and every one of them being a reference to various outfits he's worn throughout the years. Some of these references being the costumes nearly anyone will understand, like the builder outfit you can get in New Donk City being an obvious reference to what he wears in Super Mario Maker, or more obscure references like the golf outfit being a callback to the front cover of the NES game NES Open Tournament Golf, where Mario is seen wearing that same outfit. Another cool thing about the costumes is that you're able to combine them into one. Like, for example, you could wear the sunglasses hat from Super Mario Sunshine and combine it with the skeleton body to make Mario look like a cool skeleton for whatever reason you'd want to do that. Or if you want to be an insane person, you could wear the invisible cap to make your entire body invisible and make performing cool movement that much cooler. And while speaking of movement, Super Mario Odyssey has not one of the best, but the best movement of just any Mario game ever. You see, for so long, everyone said that Super Mario 64 had the best movement of any 3D Mario game, as with every entry after, he would lose more and more moves, or in 3D World's case, the moves would just be inefficient. But in Odyssey, every single move is back. The triple jump, ground pound, backflip, dive, spin, you name it, they're all in the game, with each of them being useful in their own sense rather than being delegated to, oh cool, this move's back, but it's not really useful. And along with all these returning moves, there's brand new ones exclusive to Odyssey. We got new moves like the ground pound jump, roll, cap jump, etc. And all of these feel amazing. They fit right along with Mario's already large cast of gymnastics, and I'd love to see them return in future games. But Odyssey's movement doesn't just feel amazing, you're rewarded for making good use of it throughout so much of the adventure. For example, in Sand Kingdom, there's this area right before one of the bosses. If you're able to perform the right jumps, you can make it up to this area you wouldn't think the developers would expect you to get to, but you'd be proven wrong by this giant stack of like 400 coins waiting up here for you because you pulled this off. Odyssey provides normal paths for those less skilled with the movement, but also higher and faster paths for those who take the time to learn it, similar to the stuff you would see in Sonic games. Providing rewards in different paths for those skilled adds so much replayability to the game because you might find brand new paths you never knew about on your first playthrough and will just make you appreciate the game so much more. The movement in Odyssey is what defines speedruns of the game. The run makes use of only a few glitches and is more focused on how optimized the route and movement can be made, and when glitches are used, they're usually followed up by insane use of the movement to complete them. A good example of the movement being pushed to its limits in the early game is this trick in Cap Kingdom called Left Side. For a little context, when you come out of this door, you're expected to go to the right side and ascend up using the stairs. However, if you're pretty precise with your movement, you can completely skip going to the right side and just go up there performing this really cool jump. And while this looks easy to some, it really isn't. I've tried this jump countless times and only gotten it like twice. It's hard to know if this skip is at all intended, but the fact that it can be done in the first place is just really cool and shows how far the limits of this game can be pushed. Another really awesome thing done with the movement of this game, and is done in speedruns, is this cool way you can fight the mech boss in Bowser's Kingdom. The normal way to beat this boss is to capture the Pokio and deflect the balls being shot at you back into the mech's legs and cause it to fall over, so you can climb onto it and one by one take out each sections of the mech. But if you're able to perform the right cap jump, you can actually get back onto the mech after it flings you off of it, and take out the parts of it so much faster, and it's just so much more fun to do and really isn't that hard to perform. The level of refinement and polish the movement has in this game just adds to the genius of it all. But I mean, who could make a video about Super Mario Odyssey without talking about the kingdom that was so heavily promoted up to the game's release? The Ruined Kingdom! Oh, I wish, but it's the Metro Kingdom. The Metro Kingdom, or New Donk City as I'll be calling it, is one of the coolest locations in any Mario game in my opinion, and an area I would have least expected Mario to journey through, but at the same time just makes so much sense. New Donk City just fits Mario so much. I love the way you're introduced to it as well. You see it in an absolutely awful state. Enemies all over, puddles of water around every corner. Seemed like they were going for a Gotham kind of vibe with this. But once you journey through the city and make it to the top of City Hall, all of the progress you made climbing the building is thrown away and you face off against Mecha Wiggler. And after defeating it, you are presented with the actual New Donk City. I love this idea because it forces the player to work towards being able to explore the city. I mean, even before this, you got baited with it after beating Lake or Wooded Kingdom, but instead had to face off against Bowser, and then repair the Odyssey by journeying through the Lost Kingdom, and then fight this boss. It makes finally being able to explore the city that much more rewarding. And going through all of that is completely worth it for New Donk City, which is just an absolute joy to explore. There's something at almost every turn, whether it be a purple coin, a power moon, a collection of coins. This place is just filled to the brim with so much to do, and I absolutely love it. But obviously the thing everyone loves the most about this place is the festival that takes place once you assemble the band of musicians and clear out the piranha plants from the power plant. I remember when I first got to this part of the game and was just blown away by how cool the whole sequence was. The entire thing, apart from the beginning and the end of it, is entirely in 2D and involves jumping over barrels and ascending platforms, with it all culminating up to the very end where you journey through the first stage of the Donkey Kong arcade game, all backed with the incredible main theme of Jump Up Superstar. The placement of this festival just adds to how amazing it is as well. I mean, you've just gotten to New Donk City, the part of the game Nintendo is hyping up for months, and plus you've already visited so many places and are a decent bit into the game. Whereas, if this festival as well as New Donk City were placed at the very beginning of the game, you wouldn't resonate as much with the lyrics as your adventure wouldn't really have started yet. But with it being basically at the midpoint of your journey is perfect. You're on the highest high of finally being in New Donk City, and you're also remembering back to how fun it was to explore places like Cascade Kingdom, Sand Kingdom, Wooded Kingdom, Lost Kingdom. The placement of this festival is just genius. Not only that, but the festival is also a bit of a nostalgia bomb for those who grew up with the original Donkey Kong arcade game, whether it be in an actual arcade or anywhere else Nintendo has stuck that game over the years. The amount of passion and love put into this one section alone is admirable. It's something that can really make someone remember how much they love the franchise. But the festival isn't the only big nostalgia bomb in this game. One that I'd say is arguably a lot bigger of one is the Mushroom Kingdom. Yeah, that's right, the entire kingdom. The Mushroom Kingdom is unlocked literally right after you beat the game, so I'd say this kingdom is more of a reward for beating the game, and I absolutely love it for that reason. This kingdom is filled to the brim with references and callbacks to Mario games, but undeniably the one that gets the most attention is Super Mario 64. I mean, hell, you don't even collect power moons here. You literally collect stars, with it playing the exact same sound collecting a star did in Super Mario 64. Yeah! There's even smaller things here, like Yoshi being at the roof of the castle, or the little jingle that plays when you drain the water in the castle moat. One of the coolest things here is probably the castle though. The music that plays inside is a beautiful rendition of the theme from Mario 64, and the castle interior itself is pretty similar to Mario 64, minus the doors to the other rooms sadly. One thing I did as a joke as soon as I got here for the first time was look up towards where you would look up in Mario 64 to get to the wing cap level. And to my surprise, you're actually given a moon for doing this. I mean, this level of detail and acknowledgement is just so cool. Apart from the castle, you also have the courtyard directly ported from Mario 64 as a little side area you can get into if you have the Mario 64 costume. And I mean, I don't know what else to say other than that, it's just really cool. Super Mario 64 is literally my favorite game of all time, so maybe I'm a little biased, but this whole kingdom just feels like a love letter to that game. The Mushroom Kingdom also has little towers and pipes hidden around, and inside them are rooms with paintings that lead to harder versions of the bosses you fought throughout the game, with the iconic sound that plays when you jump into the painting. It's incredibly cool that you're rewarded with this much after beating the game, and on top of that you have the moon rocks that appear in every kingdom and open up a bunch of new challenges all over the game. And while on the topic of beating the game, let's talk about the Moon Kingdom. I think the moon being the final area of the game after the moon was foreshadowed so much throughout the game with you being able to see it clearly in every kingdom despite if it was day or night, just adds to the genius of the game, and it's something you'd probably notice a lot during a second playthrough of the game. The moon itself is really fun to traverse with the low gravity, as your movement can gain you a lot more height and is just really fun to mess around with. The purple coins being star bits is also a really cool touch as well. But once you make it to the moon cave, things start to get a little more intense. The gravity is back to normal, and the entire stage is filled with familiar enemies and things you learn throughout the game, and is like a final test before you face Bowser, ending off with a rematch against the first main boss you fought in the game, Madame Brutal. After doing that, you have to rush to the chapel and burst down the door and face off against Bowser once and for all. This final fight against Bowser is really cool, and for the first time you play is pretty challenging, at least from what I remember. I think the Bowser fights in Odyssey are the most satisfying ones in any 3D Mario game, because you literally get to rapidly punch Bowser in the face over and over again until he goes flying off into a pillar. This isn't the coolest part about the final sequence though. Yeah, sure, the fight is awesome, but I mean, what's cooler than beating the shit out of Bowser? How about playing as Bowser? I remember when I first played this game, I actually had this spoiled to me because I didn't get the game on release day and spent a little too long on the internet on launch day. But apart from having it spoiled to me, this is still the coolest final sequence in any 3D Mario game. After all those years of fighting Bowser, you finally get to play as him and just destroy everything in your path as you try to escape the collapsing moon cave. All of this leads to the climax of a pillar room where you have to destroy these 4 pillars to open up the final moon rock you have to break to escape, all while being pushed forward by the amazing song that plays, Break Free. Furiously mashing on that final moon rock that always felt like it takes so long to break provides such a rush of energy, and it all pays off once you fly off on that spark pylon. Seriously, this is the coolest final sequence in any 3D Mario game. I can't stress that enough. Super Mario Odyssey is a masterpiece. It's a monumentous victory for video games. It takes just about everything that makes the Mario series great, improves upon it, and introduces so many new ideas, new locations, new characters. I've probably played through this game like 8 times since it came out, and every single time I'm just blown away by how much passion is poured into it. Every kingdom feels distinct, every boss feels new. The movement is the most refined and polished it has ever been. You are constantly rewarded for going off the beaten path. This game encourages so much exploration. There's a reason some of these levels are so huge. Super Mario Odyssey embodied the spirit of Mario 64 and Mario Sunshine, acknowledges the Mario Galaxy game's linear designs with its challenge rooms, embraces Mario 3D World's ability to introduce a new idea at every corner, and combines it all into one to create what is, in my opinion, the perfect 3D Mario game. This is everything I've always wanted the series to be. This is a true 3D Mario game.
Gonna start.